Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to this talk, which is a one-off talk, not part of the various series that I've made or that I'm making, and it applies to all the talks. I want to explain one or two things and also give a little bit of advice about how to listen to, how to receive these various teachings, talks that I give on YouTube. Sometimes you may have noticed that in these talks I'm not surrounded by Buddhist imagery, by thangkas and statues and so on. And also that unlike in teachings I give in the Samiling Shrine Room or the centers that I visit, I don't start with prayers in Tibetan or finish with prayers. And I want to explain the couple of reasons why that is first, and then give a little bit of advice afterwards. So first, I think that these talks on YouTube are probably helpful for people from various backgrounds, either already in Dharma, in Buddhism, in one of its various traditions, or else interested in Buddhism or coming from another faith. So whereas when we're together in a Dharma center, then everyone does the prayers that they use in that particular center, and often in Tibetan. We kind of have to, because we're a group of people together, and that's the way it works. Here, it's just me and you. And I don't want to burden you with Tibetan prayers if you're from a Theravada tradition or another tradition, Zen, whatever. That's one reason. Another reason is simply for time. And although more and more people do have a very good internet connection, not everyone does. And in the earlier years, I was very conscious of how long it takes for some people on a slow connection to download a YouTube video. And I tried to make them as brief as possible. But even though I try, they always turn out longer than I thought. But anyway, that's the way it is. So to reduce time, there are no prayers at the beginning and at the end. There's no Buddhist symbolism, thangkas and statues and so on, not because I've turned off them. As you know, I spend most of my life in Dharma centers loaded with that stuff. It's just that I hope in all my talks that it's the ideas that speak for themselves. Traditionally, when we learn in Dharma, it says we learn in three ways. First, by scriptural authority, that is, the teachings that come down through the lineage, and we accept their validity because these are the traditional teachings. So we give them weight, and we know that for thousands of years or 1,000 years, this is what has been taught. So scriptural authority. The second way we learn is by applying reason and logic. And I hope that the ideas that I present to you will either make sense straight away or give you food for thought so that you can think about it and come to your own conclusions. There are many aspects of Dharma. Sometimes they don't apply to us. They're Buddhist teachings that apply to other people in other circumstances at another stage of their path. Sometimes they do apply to us, but we have a resistance, we have thinking to do. And that's very, very interesting time in our Dharma studies. So the second way we learn is through intelligence, reflection, really trying to savor what is being said in the teachings and see if it makes sense to us, and deeper sense, and even deeper sense, and if we really, really can believe it or do believe it. The third way we learn, and it goes with the second way, is through life experience and through our own practice, meditation experience. We should expect to change through our Dharma path, and as we change, we should be becoming, if all is going well, wiser and kinder and softer and more loving and compassionate and more peaceful. So then we see things differently, feel things differently, have a different approach. And this should tell us how true those traditional teachings from the scriptures and from the lineage are, and they should validate the ideas we've thought about with our intelligence. So in these talks, I wanted, in a way, to put aside the weight of me sitting in a shrine room somewhere, speaking as a representative of the lineage. This is me and you, talking as friends, me trying to present as best I can the ideas of Dharma, and you seeing if they're relevant for you and if they make sense for you. So, having said that, then now the advice is, if you are committed to one or another of these paths of Dharma, then how do you approach them? And of course, we do that in 3 steps known as the good beginning, the good middle, and the good end, in which the middle is not just the middle and the center, it's everything between the beginning and the end. The good beginning is to go into the talk, into the YouTube in this case, with the very, very best motivation. This is because the half an hour, 3/4 of an hour of time that you'll spend with the talk is a time of making karma. And when we make karma, we want to make good karma. We want to make strong karma, something that will be helpful for us. In the making of karma, the motivation, it's like the launching stage of a rocket. Motive force, the motivation is very important. And if we sum it up, it should have 3 factors in it. It should be enormous, big. It should be loving. And it should be joyous. So we tried to go into the talk with a joyous, loving, big mind. Of course, if you've done any Buddhist philosophy of note, you'll know that we can't find mind. Mind is a mystery. So what does big mind mean? It means inclusive. It means that our motivation includes as many, many beings as possible. And although we can think, I'm listening to this talk for the sake of, as we say, all sentient beings, it's a bit too easy because it's an abstract idea. All sentient beings, or each and every sentient being. To make it more real, I think we really and truly do need to think about our own lives and the sentient beings who have been in this life. They are so important. They are the only sentient beings we've ever met. Although there may be on this planet 7 billion other humans and trillions and zillions of animals and so on. They're just an idea for us. We never met them. Whereas the real humans and animals that we've experienced are our only living experience of this notion, conscious being, sentient being. They are so precious to us, and also, if they're in our life, they are part of our karma. So sometimes we function mainly for our own benefit. We function for one person. Sometimes if you're in a couple, or if you're a parent and child, the whole way you're living, thinking, functioning, working is for two people. Maybe if you have a big family, you're functioning for 5, 6, 7 people. Your whole life is determined by that. Here in this part of the world, we have migrant workers from Africa. Sometimes they work so hard in such difficult conditions, and the money they send back home is supporting 12, 15, 20 people. So all the time they are here. Their motivation is for those 12, 15, 20 people. Their mind includes. And this inclusive mind is something we need to work on a lot, so that we really feel it in our bones, in everything we do, that we are here for others. And whether they've been our friends or our enemies, our parents, our brothers, our siblings, the real people in our life, our dogs, our cats, and so on. They're part of our karma. They're our only experience of living beings. So we make big efforts to include them. And if you do this really and truly, you'll feel your mind expanding. You are here on earth, alive, for more and more beings. So once we have this bigger mind and growing mind, sensitive to others, caring for others, living for them, then the relationship between ourselves and each and every one of those others needs to be as pure as possible. Nothing but love. And we know from other teachings that love means caring for their long life, for their good health, that they have proper resources, that they have a good reputation, that they live in a place of safety, not war, a place where the seasons are in harmony, and so on, and so on. The things that make life good, that is what we're wishing on each of them. And to have those things that when they're not there, cause suffering. So no ill health, no shortened life, no danger, no lack of resources, and so on. So a very, very pure, loving, nothing but benevolent attitude towards each and every being. And third, a joyous mind, because we are amongst the rare, so fortunate human beings able to receive and practice Dharma. We're interested in it. Our heart turns to it. We realize that it relates to something so much more than the trivia of daily life that we need to look after, but that is daily life. So the joy of Dharma is the most difficult because it grows with time. We can't just make it up at the beginning. But anyway, as we go into a teaching, then we need those three things: a big mind, a loving mind, and a joyous mind. The noise you can hear is our local firefighters training with these wonderful aeroplanes that scoop up the sea to put out the forest fires. It's not war, thank goodness. So then one can make those three things: the inclusive mind, the loving mind, the joyous mind. Accompany whatever prayers you want, if you want to do formal prayers, before listening to the YouTube. Better to do the prayers that work for you, that really help bring those few minutes where we turn our hearts in loving care to everybody. During the actual teaching, we try and stay focused. We try and keep a pure mind. We try and feel, I'm here for everybody. There are many instructions about how to listen. The 3 examples of the pot not being a leaky pot where it goes in but you don't retain it, not being a poisoned pot where you are listening with an angry mind or a jealous mind, and then not being an upturned pot where you're basically closed, so the stuff's pouring in but it can't go inside because the pot's upside down. And then there are 6 other instructions. There are many instructions for how to listen, but listen well, as best you can. And then at the end we dedicate. Our human minds, when they do something good, can in a way spoil the karma, spoil the goodness afterwards by regretting or having second thoughts or being proud about what happened. So many ways we can spoil it. So while it's still fresh and still good and still Dharma and still pure, we feel we give it completely to everyone as our gift. Whatever we just heard and listened to in the talk, we share it for the well-being of everyone. And in that process, we learn to move on. We've done the talk, we've come to the end, and now in total freshness and presence and mindfulness, we move into the next moment. We give and let go completely. Letting go completely and giving, one and the same thing. So just a few words of advice. I don't want to make this too long, to explain why I do the talks without Buddhist paraphernalia and without a lot of prayers at the beginning, at the end, and to explain to you, in case you weren't clear from probably the many, many times you've heard it in the past, about the way we go into a talk with good motivation, we listen as best we can, and we conclude with a dedication. Thank you very much for listening. I wish you all a wonderful day and excellent practice. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.